Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me without the microphone? So we're going to get started in a few minutes. My name is Rabbi Sharon. I'll be officiating hot. So wherever you can find a little shade, please do to take care of yourself. Sharon, it's 70 SPF because I'll leave the sunscreen over here if you want to use it. And we'll get started. We're just trying to find some pallbearers. So here is the sunscreen. And somebody is passing out all of the funeral ceremony handout so that you can all participate. So try to get, I think I have about 7. So try to get one. Okay. Talk amongst yourselves. We'll be back in a few minutes. Here, ready? Yeah. Yeah. Wasn't good. Yeah. I'll be glad yeah, I rode with Matt, so it worked out. Yeah, me too. And they, because our family does 2 rows, good for So I decided to come because Max said he was driving. Okay, you're gonna drive. I thought the same. No one needs that extra. Brady would breakfast.
Oh yeah.
I was thinking of moving. I'm sure. Are we
There's room.
I'm just trying to. So you're not gonna go to the house? Well, I thought that was just for family. I don't really know shivers for any of the mourners. Yeah. Okay, at least I got directions. Let's see if I can find my way there. So you're gonna stay the whole time? 7 o'clock? Oh, no, I will be there for a while. Start right until
There's several. I took another plate lunch.
onto I-7 Eastern line. Oh, I'm not highway. Take X-30 up towards Graveside.
Yeah, I was saying that when my mother died, it was really
And that
sad. She wasn't in it anymore. So just this plane and
Oh,
so
this is so confusing.
it came in a little everyday commercial.
No, it's not too
We
far
didn't have
from
time to
Sharon.
go to the-
It's kind of in, what's that, South Glen area or something?
Well, it's a good time.
Southland.
My son did a-
Good morning, everyone. I'm Karen Aviv. It's my honor to be with you this morning to remember Sharon Sanders. Today is not an easy day. When we mourn and bury a loved one, it's a difficult mitzvah. It's an act of care to show how we loved a person. In Hebrew, the word for funeral is levaya, and it means to accompany. So this morning, we are accompanying Sharon as she's laid to rest. I know that Sharon was loved by each of you in your own way, and she loved each of you back in her own unique way. And when we gather to remember and share stories in all of our brokenheartedness, this is the biggest mitzvah in Judaism. It is the way that we show our care and love to honor her memory. We'll begin with an ancient prayer song from Psalm 121. It's called Esa Einai. I lift my eyes up to the mountains. I invite you to close your eyes and just put a hand on your heart if you feel comfortable, and call up some memories of Sharon as you listen to the feeling underneath the music and the words. Esa Einai El Heharim Me'ayin Yavu Ezri Esa Einai El Heharim Me'ayin Yavu Ezri Ezri Me'ain Sof Ose Shamayim Ba'aretz Ezri Me'em O'ein Sof Ose Shamayim Ba'aretz. I lift my eyes up to the mountains. From where, oh, from where does my help come? I lift my eyes up to the mountains.
From where, oh, from where does my help come? My help comes from Ein Sof, from that which makes the skies and the earth. My help comes from Ein Sof, from that which makes the skies and the earth. What we're going to do now is I'm going to give the family black ribbons. These are called Kriya ribbons. And we wear them as a sign to show that our hearts are broken and that there's been a rupture in our lives. There's a before and there's an after. And so I'm going to give this to the family and we'll say the blessing all together. If after the funeral you would also like to take a Kriya ribbon in solidarity with the family, you'll find them here. And we'll be using some alternative language for the divine. The classic blessing for tearing a Kriya ribbon uses the word Baruch Dayan Ha'emet, which means blessed is the true judge. And sometimes when a family is mourning, saying Harachamim, which is the true source of compassion, feels more comforting and soothing to acknowledge the loss. So we'll say the English together and then we'll say the Hebrew. If you'd like to join. Blessed is the one at the top of your page. Blessed is the one, creator of all, source of truth, compassion, and finitude. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam harachamim ha'emet. And you can now, it's all on your chest. That's great. If you'd like to tear it a little bit, it's already pre-cut, but you can engage in the active kriya of tearing. I'm going to call up Bob to offer a beautiful poem by Khalil Gibran.
The river can not go back. It is said that before entering the sea, the river trembles with fear. She looks back at the path she has traveled, from the peaks of the mountains, the long winding road crossing forests and villages. And in front of her, she sees an ocean so vast that to enter there seems nothing more than to disappear forever. But there is no other way. The river cannot go back. Nobody can go back. To go back is impossible in existence. The river needs to take the risk of entering the ocean because only then will fear disappear. Because that's where the river will know it's not about disappearing into the ocean, but of becoming the ocean.
We're going to hear some words of remembrance by Sharon's daughters and grandchild. And I'm going to ask Stacy to come up first to offer a eulogy, a hesped in Hebrew. Do this. Thank you.
My mom always thought I was too tall.
You're just right.
She always liked hearing me speak publicly. I wish I wasn't doing this, but I appreciate you all being here. And we found out in February that mom was not a candidate for heart surgery that would have likely extended her life for a few more years. We were all in shock. We knew it meant that we didn't have much time left with her. Mom wanted to spend her time with the people she loved the most, her kids, sons-in-law, and her beloved grandchildren. After the initial shock wore off, Mom reassured all of us that she was at peace with her fate, saying, "This isn't a tragedy. I'm 81. She took the time to tell us all how proud she was of each of us and how much she loved us. And we did the same. My mom had a difficult childhood after her father's death when she was 9 years old. The times being what they were, kids didn't always get the support they needed to cope with an unexpected tragedy such as a parent dying. Much of what transpired after his death caused her and my aunt additional pain that shaped both of their lives. As a result, my mom's way of dealing with tough situations wasn't always loving. We have had some difficult moments over the years, but that doesn't define all of who Mom was. My mom was incredibly funny with a sharp wit and an ability to make people laugh with a story or a great one-liner. I firmly believe that my sense of humor comes from my mom, and I am hilarious, as I tell my niece and nephews all the time. And they, of course, agree. Mom was fiercely loyal to her family and close friends, and I could take comfort in knowing she would always show up for me. One of my fondest memories is the day my parents moved me into my dorm room for the first time. I was very shy growing up. Let that sink in. And I had a hard time meeting new people. I told my mom that I was going to work hard to change that. We were in the elevator when someone got on with us, and I said a timid hello. My mom later said to me that was the most painful hello she had ever heard, but that she was proud of me for taking that step. My mom had a lot to overcome throughout her life, which she did every time. I don't think my mom thought she was a strong person, but she was wrong. She built a life for herself that she enjoyed, and that gave her the opportunity to show up for my sisters, me, and her grandchildren. My mom and I were theater buddies, and I'm going to miss that more than I can say. We always had a good time and enjoyed almost everything we saw. Our conversations were the same for every play. Mom, are you sure leaving at 5 o'clock will give us enough time? Me, have we ever missed a curtain? No, but are you sure it's enough time? There's a lot happening downtown. Okay, Mom, I'll pick you up at 4:50. We left the house at 5:10. I will miss that exchange every time. As we all sat vigil at her bedside this week, I so enjoyed seeing her through the eyes of my niece and nephews. The impact she has had on their lives is absolutely beautiful, and I am forever grateful that they will be able to carry the love and pride she had for them for the rest of their lives. The outpouring of love from her wonderful friends is so moving, and I'm happy that so many got to experience all the best parts of my mom. I've had a lot of time to reflect on what my mom taught me and what I will carry with me. I've learned that family is everything and to always hold them close. I have learned that advocating for oneself is a sign of courage. I've learned that you can find light and joy in every day when it seems impossible. And I've learned that love can come in many forms and to be ready to embrace it when it comes your way. I love you with all my heart, Mom, and you will be with me always, Raisela.
I'm going to call on Marla.
I'm the short one of all of us. My mom's phone tells the tale of her life better than I ever could.
Her pictures are filled with her children and grandchildren, but also of mistakenly taken selfies of half her head, an accidental screenshot of absolutely nothing, or 5 identical shots of a random item on her table. Her contacts are vast. She had so many loyal and close friends that brought her happiness, and she reciprocated with humor and love. She has her various Mahjong groups that became a lifeline during and after COVID. And then there are the random numbers saved. There is no customer service line that has not interacted with my mom. She has endless contacts saved, often with names: Matt at the mattress firm, Mo at Discount Tire, Finish Line Car Wash, 3 different Macy's, Home Depot, every King Supers within a 20-mile radius, Lamp Repair, who even does that anymore, endless restaurants, and so on. Her phone was her lifeline to everyone and everything important to her. And when anyone dared touch it, they were immediately stopped. Her phone kept us all connected, and I will miss her daily texts and 2 long Marco Polos that tied her to us every day, and that we anxiously waited for in the past 6 months as her health declined. Her phone was our vehicle to know that she was okay at the start of the day and the end. My mom was a beloved Grammy to my children, showing up for every event, making them laugh, over celebrating every accomplishment, big and small, cheering on their ventures, buying anything they sold, believing in them, and giving them unconditional love. She adored my husband, Randy, and he adores her, and he could do no wrong in her eyes. He was the only one among us that could properly change the batteries in her remote control. She could not always give me the same unconditional love for much of my life, but she did the last few years, and I am so grateful for how our relationship evolved and changed, and how she gave my children so many wonderful and cherished memories. She and I had a wonderful talk just last Saturday. It seems like a lifetime ago right now. And she was not afraid to die and believed she would be reunited with loved ones. Among the things that made her sad was missing Ivy's upcoming dance season and not getting to watch her dance her first solo. She was upset that she would not see Jake graduate from high school or get to see his senior pictures. She wanted to see me retire and enjoy a new phase of my life. That was where her heart was always, with her family. And she took a bit of us all with her and left a huge gap. But she also left a million Grammy stories to tell. From being placed in Facebook jail more than once, her steadfast political beliefs, her art skills, her customer service escapades, and her sharp tongue and humor that will stay with us forever, as will her stockpile of toilet paper and lipsticks and phone cords and batteries. I love you, Ma, and I miss you already.
Allison, want to come?
Oh,
I'm,
it happens.
okay.
It's okay.
Lorax or whatever. Dr.
Just like the
Seuss thing.
Lorax.
My mom loves to tell the story of when Ben, her first grandson, was born. My mom was waiting anxiously outside my birthing room, trying to hear what was happening, making sure her baby was being taken care of in the right way. I'm pretty sure it was killing her not to barge in and knock Bob out so she could take his place. She describes hearing Ben cry and the hospital playing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Stars. She explains the immense sweeping of love and pride that washed over her when she heard that song announce the arrival of her beloved grandson, as if Simba had just been born. I believe May 27th, 2003 was the first time she allowed herself to show unconditional love, unconditional and unabashed love for another person in her 61 years of life. My mom had suffered many emotional, traumatic events in her early childhood that shaped the mom and person who she would become through midlife. She spoke of feeling the need to protect her baby sister, Norma, from what was happening around them.
So let me correct my previous statement. My mom only loved one other person before unconditionally. That was Norma. When my mom spoke of this, from the time I was a little girl to the time of mom's passing, I relentlessly felt the need to show my mom love and protect her from other people hurting her, making sure she was taking care of herself during trying times and being the person to calm her down when life was too overwhelming for her. Little did I know I was not the one who would be able to force her to feel love, but it was her 4 grandchildren that allowed her to open herself up to giving and receiving unconditional love. Each year over the last 21 years, I saw my mom transform into this person I had never seen before. Her grandchildren fed her soul, and she filled them up with every ounce of love that only a Grammy could fill. She would erupt in joyous applause when 6-month-old Ben would open and close a cupboard repeatedly. When Alex was finally able to reach the button to the automatic door to the library she would take him every Wednesday, you'd think he had just climbed Mount Everest. Every milestone and event, Grammy would be there for my boys. As Alex told her last Wednesday night, as her voice had left her, "You have helped shape me into the man I am becoming." When Ben talked to her that night, she told her he applied to graduate from college in May. Even in her sedated state, she was able to muster up a "wow" and "I love you." Her grandchildren lit up her life, even in her last moments when she was not able to speak. She sure did love her son-in-law, Special Bob. Their love and respect for each other evolved into a beautiful relationship, and I know he is hurting as much as we are all to lose his mother-in-law. The last week I have described as being beautifully heartbreaking. Sorry. I know this is long. Okay. As I watched my mom slowly leave us, I found myself continuing to protect her. I talked to her to reassure her she was not alone, as that was one of her biggest fears. I made sure that the nurses kept her comfortable because I hated seeing her in pain and distress. Hospice has a tradition of ringing the bell when someone dies. That bell became such a presence in my consciousness those days sitting by my mom's side. Whenever I heard that bell ring for someone else's death, I would pray that I could ring that bell soon for my mom. I would perseverate on ringing that damn bell for her. As I left hospice after saying goodbye to my mom for the night, not knowing it was going to be the last time I'd see her, I asked the nurses, "What happens if we are not here when she dies? Who will ring the bell for her?" They assured me that they would. We were not there when my mom passed, and I woke up the next morning after a very sleepless night just thinking about that bell. I realized I had to go back to hospice that day, not to visit my mom, but to ring the bell. I realized driving back to hospice that me ringing the bell to memorialize my mom's life was just as important as it was to her hearing "Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star" announcing her grandson's birth. I rang that bell so hard to show my immense love and pride of the life my mom lived and the bravery and strength she showed throughout her life and into her final days. "Mom, I told you on Thursday night, just hours before you died. It's time to rest, Mama. Your work here is done. You've done good. Mom, I hope you know that you lived such a good life with the people who loved you with all their heart. I honestly don't know how to move on from being your protector, but I am hoping that you will now be the one to protect me. I will love you forever and always. And I just want to say, I noticed that her beloved grandparents are just right over there. And she spoke so highly of them. And so as I was sitting here today thinking, she picked this spot of rest, I now know why she did, because Grandpa Bill and Grandma May are going to be protecting her as well.
For our last eulogy. Want to come?
Thank you all for coming today. The family really appreciates your attendance, but more importantly, Grammy can rest easy knowing the love that surrounds her today. Those who don't know, Grammy was the name designated to her when she first became a grandmother. The thing about Grammy is that we only knew her love for us, but unfortunately, many employees got to see her in her last loving times. Grammy's house and time spent with her were filled with many laughs and good times. Whether this was anxiously awaiting to open her gifts for Hanukkah, trying to explain the rules of Uno to her for the 100th time, we knew that every moment we spent with her was filled with unconditional love. Looking back on it, there was never a dull moment with her. I'll miss calling her when I'm home for a break and scheduling a time to see her. She'd pick up the phone knowing I was going to be asking if I could come see her, but still being shocked and over the moon excited about the thought of getting to see me. These days were spent exchanging stories and sharing memories. Her favorite stories were about the day my dad asked her for her blessing to marry my mom and the day my brother and I were born. I'm pretty sure her favorite song was Twinkle Twinkle Little Star because of this. I'll also miss waiting for a name to come up on my phone for my birthday and getting a semi-off tone happy birthday sung to me, even if it was 7 o'clock in the morning and I was a teenage boy. To sum up my time with Grammy is difficult, but the only thing I really do know during this time is we loved each other to infinity and beyond.
My favorite memory of Grammy is her coming up to visit me on Wednesdays when I was in preschool. Although I was super young and don't remember too much, I do remember her taking me to get sesame chicken at the mall and then letting me play on the playground in that mall. I remember her taking me to the library to go play with the train set and then eventually being able to check out a book when I was old enough. I remember the sandwich shop called Silver Mine that we would eat at the time and the time that she threw her phone away in the trash can. I know that I'll miss these memories of her, but I am forever grateful for her endless love. The car jolted as it slowly backed into the bus and Grammy got out of the car. She was picking me up from school, like normal, when she backed into a school bus. I remember thinking that it was the bus's fault because my perfect grandma would never purposely get in an accident. The car has dents and scratches from stories we will never hear and stories we will keep telling. But no matter how bad a driver she was, her grandkids were never in the car when accidents happened. Of course, except for the bus time. You may say that's pure luck, but I would say that the only time she was able to drive safe was when the four most important people in her life were in the car.
To everyone else, Grammy's basement was just a normal basement. But to me, it's where I grew up. Endless sleepovers with cousins and medical procedures on her giant teddy bear are just the beginning of childhood memories at Grammy's house. I remember celebrating Rosh Hashanah and Passover at her house, the four of us looking for the Afikoman, curious how much money we would get. If only I had realized at the time that that was the least she was doing for us. I can never repay her for the childhood she gave me. Although sometimes I was left out of the rough housing of the boys, I knew I could walk up the staircase from the basement to her living room and find her waiting there for me. She had a house full of bubbles, card games, and coloring books that are filled with memories for me. From the time I was little and she played grocery store with me to the time I was older and she drove me and Jake to school every day, never forgetting to squeeze in a quick card game before we left. I can't count the number of movies she took us to see or the cookies she snuck us before dinner. Her basement will forever be a spaceship, a doctor's office, and a grocery store. Her car will forever be an airplane and a boat, and her the captain. She never missed a dance recital or a soccer game, and I hope she passed, knowing she gave me all she could, and that means the world to me. She always said she loved me to the moon and back, and now I will say to her, I love you, Grammy, to the moon, to the sun, to the stars, and back again. The four of us love you, Grammy, and rest easy now. Say hi to Frida for us.
We're going to transition to the last mitzvot, the last actions to show we care, by lowering the casket and listening to the song, It's Time to Say Goodbye. And then we will also line up, after the casket is lowered, we'll line up to take either fistfuls of dirt or a shovel of dirt. And the custom is to turn the shovel over to make it harder for us to say goodbye. And so we'll form a line here with the family going first to step here. And then anybody who wants to participate in that mitzvah can do so. And what we say when a casket is lowered is Al mikomo yavo v'shalom. May Sharon go to her eternal place of peace and rest. So family, if you'd like to line up, and I'll show you.
Yeah, that's the Orthodox tradition.
We have two more pieces of ritual. First, the casket has to be completely covered before we say El Malay Rachamim, which you'll find in your handout. And then we will say Mourner's Kaddish together. I'm just going to ask that we remain quiet and silent for this last mitzvah of covering the casket. And then we'll sing El Malay together. And the prayer El Malay Rachamim means the one overflowing with compassion. And it's imagining that we receive comfort from a metaphor of the divine as an eagle, and that the soul of Sharon rests underneath the wings of that eagle. So let us sing, or let's actually say the English translation together, and I'll sing the Hebrew. The source of the universe, overflowing with compassion, dwelling within, above, in every dimension. May we receive respite and comfort in our loss. May we experience a sense of indwelling presence, sacred and pure. Like the stars of the sky, may the memory of Sharon shine and endure. El Malay Rachamim, Shochem Bamromim. El Malay Rachamim, Shochem Bamromim. Chamtzei menucha nechona tachat al kanfei hashechina. Chamtzei menucha nechona tachat al kanfei hashechina. El Malay Rachamim, Shochem Bamromim. El Malay Rachamim, Shochem Bamromim. I want to offer this interpretive Kaddish by Rabbi Sheila Peltz Weinberg before we all stand to say Kaddish for the first time together to remember Sharon. The Kaddish is about opening the window, not looking through the glass, but opening the window of the heart, the window into not knowing, opening the window on grief and love, opening the window on time and space, opening the window to the moment that is just this, opening the window to the name, the great name that has no name. Amen. And you'll find the mourner's Kaddish in Aramaic and then in transliteration and translation on that last page of your handout. So if you'd like to stand, if you're able, you can. Also, if it's your custom to sit, that's also great. Yitkadal v'yitkadash Shnei Rabbah, v'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon, uv'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kari v'imru, Amen. Yehe Shmei Rabbah mevorach leolam ulmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitale v'yithalal shmei dekudsha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tush bechata v'nechemata da'amiram v'alma v'imru amen. Yehe shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for participating in these last mitzvot to honor Sharon. And may you be comforted in your mourning among all those who are brokenhearted with you. Thanks.
Oh, wow. Yes. And earliest in the year, she was not comfortable in Smoky Hill. We came to play. Yeah, Smoky Hill Road. Yeah. And you could take Smoky Hill. Pink. Your own shape. Okay, go please.
I was saying there was a boat that is.
Oh, yeah. And so that was, and then,
Yeah. What's your,
I think we have one on